Guys, this is Missy with the Rob Bellerman team, and this week we are going to be covering how to pick your builder. So the first thing I would consider is location. So some neighborhoods will restrict which builders are allowed to build there. So you'll want to find out who that builder team is. So then it kind of narrows down your options. If you're building on acreage, typically you could pick any builder you want as long as that builder is willing to travel to wherever your acreage is. The second thing to think about would be time. How much time do you have to build your house? Depending on the builder, they can be anywhere from 10 months to I've seen them all the way up to 2 years. So you'll want to already have that kind of in the back of your mind because that's an important question to ask the builder is his timeline. And then you also have to understand in our building climate right now, there are things that are out of the builder's control. So he might tell you 12 months because to the best of his knowledge and past experience, 12 months is where he was at. But then all of a sudden he gets to mechanical stage and now, he's having a hard time getting a plumber come in or for the electrician to come in or to get through city inspections. And so those things sometimes extend out your build time. So while it's important to think like, okay, yeah, I have a year to build a house, I would also think on the flip side, okay, so if something happens, are we accounting for, a month or 2 months? Which leads me to my next question for a builder would be ask them on the communication piece, how do they communicate with you? Some builders will have an online portal that you can just sign into, look at the schedule. If you have questions about the schedule, you can talk to your construction manager. Some builders will call you every week, usually on a designated day, and they'll give you an update on your build progress. Those meetings are super important, or that portal is super important because I would say the number one complaint we get in new construction is about communication and how they felt like they didn't understand or they didn't know what was happening during the process. So asking the builder upfront what is typical for communication on him is really key because you might be somebody who's like, I just want you to build my house. I picked out all my things. Let me know when we close. And then I have other people who have a spreadsheet and they like, when the basement gets dug or they pour the foundation or they're going to be painting, they want to know when all of those things are going to be happening or an estimated time. So that way they can kind of check the boxes as they go along and they keep in tune in the progress of the build. So that's really important, setting that expectation up front with the builder and knowing what he does. So that's important. But the other thing I was getting back to was when you're building, there's different types of builders. So we've got the super custom builders, which would be the ones that you could bring them a napkin with a plan that you've drawn out, and they will actually make that plan a reality. And those situations are super cool, but typically that's not for someone who's going to be building for the first time. Because there's a lot of things you don't think about. And so that's a much more hands-on project than, let's say, a semi-custom build. So keep that in the back of your mind. And then the next type of builder would be semi-custom builders. So a lot of times in that aspect, they have a variety of floor plans you can choose from, and then you can make tweaks to them. So like say, I picked out a ranch floor plan and I absolutely love it, but I really wish I could push out one wall or maybe add a bathroom to the main level, finish the basement a little bit differently. That would all be considered more of a semi-custom builder because they're still allowing you to make changes. And then we have more of the production builder style too. And that is they have their floor plans. You have to build their floor plans, how they have their floor plans. They might have some modifications that you can choose from, but you still have to stick to their floor plan. They won't be making any huge structural changes that aren't typical for them, which is fine because on the flip side to either semi-custom or production, typically those processes are more streamlined and they're a little bit quicker. So on a super custom build job, you have to understand there's an architect involved, then there's an engineer involved. There's all these different people up front. And so sometimes that might take from the time you talk to them to the time you actually go to contract, it might be 4 to 6 months. Whereas with either a semi-custom or a production builder, you could pick a floor plan and beat a contract within the next day because they have everything already pretty streamlined on the upfront end of things. Now I have some people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I really want to build. I want something custom." Well, what does custom mean for you? Because when a builder hears custom, they think customizing a floor plan, where you might mean, I just want to go in and pick all the tile and paint and the exterior stone, and I want to have exposed beams added. All of those types of things are not structural. So either a semi-custom builder or a production builder would both fit the needs as far as that goes. And even super custom, because usually the super custom guys also have floor plans. But that would be the perk of semi-custom or production, and also on a cost side of it, because that's the other thing you have to think about is how much money do you want to spend? Because you're going to obviously be spending more money if you go on the super custom end of things versus production, and then semi-custom is kind of in the middle there. So if you have a budget in mind, usually what I would do is, like, say my budget's $500,000. Okay, well, I'm going to go to the person who has the development, whatever community manager there is, and say, okay, so here's my budget. Which one of these builders can build me a house within that budget? Now, does that mean your budget is hard line, this is what it is, I'm going to spend $500,000? No. Maybe it means I'm going to spend $450,000. Maybe it means, that is ideally what I would like to spend. If I go over a little bit in overages, I'm okay paying out of pocket for those things, but at least it gives them a ballpark. And then they can kind of put you into that path that you need to go for which builders to choose. The last thing I would say on picking a builder would be the warranty. So every builder has a different warranty. So some builders will have what they call like their 1 year bumper to bumper warranty, which basically covers everything in the house, even cosmetic things like if your house starts settling, which I'm going to tell you right now, your house is going to settle. Let it go all 4 seasons, because in the Kansas City area, we're using real wood. We're not in big cities where they're actually building houses inside of plants that have wood that's actually been in a temperature control environment. Everything we're building out here gets built on site, and the wood has moisture in it. So when they build your house, and as it goes through the seasons, it's going to dry out and it's going to get wet, and there's going to be moisture, and you're going to see expanding and contracting. And I say that because it always shocks people when they get into a house. First 60 days, they're like, oh my gosh, my cabinets, I painted my cabinets. And now you can see where they basically shrunk because they don't have their humidifier on. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's normal. But anyways, getting back to warranty, what the builders do is usually at like 11 months or 12 months, they'll come back and they'll do those kinds of touch-ups for you. But most builders will only do it one time. So don't ask them to come back in 60 days. Let your house go through all 4 seasons. And then usually that's when it's done settling. Also, builders, certain builders in town will also do a 2-year warranty, which is usually a systems warranty. And that means it's everything behind your sheetrock. So if for whatever reason for your water line breaks or something in a wall, they would cover that. And then the other warranty that some of the builders have is a 10-year warranty, which is your structural warranty. Typically, this is covered by an outside company, outside of the builder, something that he's bought. And this will more or less protect you from anything catastrophic. So if you came home and you had this huge shifting in your house and you noticed cracks in your basement, for instance, you could call the warranty company out and they would look at it and decide, are they going to warranty it or not? There's a whole booklet that tells you, okay, we'll cover this, we won't cover this. And so it's very black and white. It's got a service fee, but at least this will keep you from those horror stories that you hear that a builder built a house and the foundation went bad and all the things you hear. This would protect you from that moment. It also protects you from the other horror story that you hear, like, oh, this builder went out of town, he's never come back again, whatever. Well, this is through a different company, so in 10 years, you don't have to worry about if this builder is still around. Is it something that you have to have, that every builder has to have? No. It's just if you're somebody who is looking for those things, those are questions you should be asking your builder to make the best decision for you. So location, what type, a builder you're looking for, the timeline, the price, and the warranty. Those are all the things that you should look for when you are looking for a builder, and questions that you should ask when you're interviewing builders, because you can interview more than one. I almost forgot this, the last thing. So you can go online and look at reviews for builders, but really if there's a neighborhood you want to build in and you're really wanting to know about the quality of the construction or the builder, I would just walk around in that neighborhood, and there are people outside mowing the grass, they're at school, they're doing all sorts of things. So just stop and be like, hey, just curious, I'm thinking about building. Can you tell me about your experience? And most of the time people are pretty honest. And they'll give you their feedback, because the thing about going and looking at online reviews, they're great. A lot of builders will ask people to give them reviews. But typically they're asking the people that had good experiences to go on and give them a review. Or on the flip side, if they're not asking for reviews, who are the people going on and giving reviews? Usually if you've had a bad experience. I mean, I go to Starbucks almost every day, and I've never written a review saying how much my daughters love Starbucks. So it's always the people that have a complaint. So that would be my advice on getting honest reviews from people, which you should do. Yeah, so that's what I would do if I was picking a builder. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know.